David and Nancy Moss.
This has been a very interesting 6 months for us. We were moved to go to Olympia, Washington. I've lived in Kentucky my entire life in the same house for 21 years, and I was recruited by a recruiter to go out there to work.
You want to tell the story how you got recruited?
I've gotten numerous phone calls from recruiters to go out there because I've been an ER nurse for 30 years. And this one ended his voicemail by saying, "God bless you." And that to us was a signal that we need to contact this person. I mean, no recruiter ever said God to me before.
And you've been out of work how long? Right, yes. And you've been out of work how long? How long have you been out of work?
I'd been out of work for about a year, could not find the job I wanted, could not find the money I wanted, and just took a year off to chill. And this was like the perfect job. And Dave and I prayed, and we said, God, if we're meant to be out there, you've got to make this easy. It cannot be hard because we can't do hard at this moment.
No hoops.
So the hospital flew us out there, both of us, and put us up in a luxury hotel for 3 days.
Which normally they didn't do for the husband.
And a rental car, and we got to check out all of Washington, and we loved it. The second house we looked at was the perfect house for us, and I came home to pack my stuff, could not do it until the last week before we left. I was convinced that somehow this was not going to go. So finally I packed my stuff, put it in the car, and we headed off 2,683 miles across country. And got there, and we did not know we were going to the liberal, atheist area of the world. Because a lot of people out there will admit they're atheist, and I've never met anyone in the Bible Belt here that would admit that right out front that they were an atheist. And out there they do. And of course, gay marriage is legal. Marijuana is everywhere, it's legal. And everywhere you go, somebody tries to give you some.
Samples. Free samples.
The hospital that I am in does not have a pastor, regular time, does not have a chapel, does not have God anywhere necessarily within that hospital. And my director came from Ohio, Bible Belt, and is also a Christian. And the two of us together pray with our patients, and we pray for our staff. And when they ask for a pastor, I go out and I pray with them. And I have a nurse that's the head of the ICU, who we were in the office talking, and she said, well, I'm just going to tell y'all right up front, I'm an atheist. I do not believe in heaven or hell. When you die, you die. So Scott, my director, and me took her under our shoulders, and we started talking to her every day. And it finally got to a point that she would come to my office every morning with coffee to talk. And I don't even drink coffee. But we finally, after weeks of talking, she's finally gotten to a point that she admits that there is a higher being. She won't say it's Jesus or God yet, but she does admit there is a higher being. And she has asked me questions about things that she sees in her patients and where God is in that. And that's been a very positive thing. I mean, she is really connected with me, and I've connected with her, and I think we're connecting with lots of people in that place. We were meant to be out there for this reason, and we tried to figure out what it was that drew us out there, but this is it, because God needs to be out there. And hopefully I'm bringing it into the hospital, into my employees, into my patients, and then we'll have to see where else it goes. But we were meant to be out there. That is it is fifth generation hippie. They all grew up in communes. And my patients come in and they'll have eye makeup on and a dress and a beard. Okay? We don't have just males and females out there. We have males, females, and T's, transitionals. And that means that they are not sure whether they're a male or a female yet, but they're getting high on estrogen and off testosterone, or the other way. So you're an M, an F, or a T. Never heard such a thing in my life. But they supposedly have a chart in the ER that tells you at what hormone level, what the amount of estrogen or testosterone they're taking, what you're going to see when you undress them. What shrunk and what grew. That's the only way you can. You just never know what you're going to get. You just don't. And then they came out with a dress code before I left to come out here, and it said that everyone could have an earring in their nose, they could have their eyebrows pierced, They couldn't have anything in their lips because that might impede their speech. And they couldn't have anything in their tongue. But they could have whatever color hair they wanted. And they could have as many holes in their ears they wanted.
And facial tattoos.
And facial tattoos, as long as it's tactful, and full sleeves of tattoos, because our doctors do. They want us to look like our patients. Does that tell you anything? I think if I go out there and I don't have the tattoos and I don't have the piercings and I'm going out there just as a person of God, then maybe I will show them they're total complete fools. But it's been a very interesting 6 months. And after 30 years of ER nursing, I did not think anything could ever shock me. And I have sat out there at triage while people have told me things and just... And with gay marriage being legal, I mean, you go into a room and there's two people of the same sex there, you have to be careful how you tread because one of them's the husband.
But you're not sure which.
And you don't necessarily know which one. But people out there will tell you anything. They're all just totally different. But they will honestly tell you they're atheist. And that just really, really blows me away.
And if they're gay, what will they tell you?
Actually, I've had gay people, they sat down and I've asked them, they'll actually tell you they know in the Bible where God mentions gay people. And that it's mentioned one place in the Bible. They know it's against God. But they think it's okay. They said, you can't tell me anything. Even though you know God and you know Jesus, you cannot tell me anything. I've read the Bible. I know where it is in the Bible. So it's not that they don't know. It's they choose not to pay attention.
Talking about the drugs.
Out here, I've encountered my 30 years of nursing, lots of people take drugs. But most of them, if they shoot up between their fingers or their toes or various places you can't see. And nobody says anything about being on drugs. Well, out there, I think they legalize marijuana so they get people off all the other stuff. Because they come in and you ask them if they do any recreational drugs, they give you a list of 15. And which 3 they did the most this week. And they don't seem to have a problem with tracks. They come in with their arms all trached up. They have abscesses from broken off needles. And they're not embarrassed about it. They think that is what everyone does. And that just really got me. I just can't believe anybody is so obvious about that kind of thing. And they don't act like it's any deal. And there are people who beg on every corner.
Yep.
And
signs.
And they'll have signs, help my children, they'll beg. Most of the time they have a dog with them. Sometimes they have a 5-speed, a 10-speed expensive bicycle hidden behind the bush with a trailer full of expensive stuff.
Yeah.
And I've actually had...
Sometimes they're doing iPads behind the sign. You can see them texting with an iPad behind the sign.
They'll actually admit that they made $100,000 last year begging.
Yeah.
So how does Jesus in you love these people?
Because they're all God's children. And you have to love them. And you have to give them what you can of God and Jesus and hope that they take it. And just throw it out there. Let them suck it in. I just think one day I'm just going to open my mouth and just going to, they're going to have a choice.
All you can do is be Jesus in your form and let Jesus talk to them. Because, I mean, arguing is useless. So, there's no reason to even try. Just show them God's love. That'll break down those walls real quick.
Well, I don't know if y'all know how Bardstown Road is with all the eclectic shops. Well, all of Olympia is that way.
Yeah, the whole
it's
city.
It's all little shops.
It's like the Highlands. It's hippie land, no doubt.
They actually have a college called Evergreen College, and they don't give grades. Okay? At the end of the semester, you get a psychological profile of how motivated you are, how well you did in class, how much you kept up with your things that had to be turned in. And those people get accepted to medical school because they prefer the psychological profile over the grades. The grades can be cheated. Profile can't. They're called the Evergreenies. They walk around. You'll know them immediately because it doesn't matter if it's raining or not. They'll have on flip-flops. They'll have on shorts. They'll have long hair, a full beard, and a tie-dyed shirt.
What age group do you talk?
All ages. That's what blows your mind. Is you'll have a lady sit down at my triage desk who'll be 65 years old, wearing a long skirt, a tie-dyed shirt, and she tells you about the commune she grew up in, and her name will be Sunny Mooney.
You know what? These things are funny, but they're not.
They're not.
Really, it's really sad.
Yep.
It's horrible because it's Satan that is taking over
Exactly.
that community. I mean, he's
Well-
ruling there.
Exactly.
That God has sent you right there.
Yeah, we consider
know.
it virgin territory.
You call it virgin territory.
Yep, virgin territory.
It is.
When you said that, one of these days you're just going to open your mouth and it already is. Your very presence in the room, the
Right.
Spirit is emanating out from that in your words, in your very presence. It is making that difference. It's time. God wouldn't have sent you there if it isn't time.
That's right.
Well, I think I emanate Jesus and God just the way I treat these people. They'll sit down and they expect to be condemned. You know, they expect to be treated badly because they're the way they are in transition or the way they are with their gay partners, whatever. That does not faze me. They're still God's children. I'm not going to treat them badly. I'm going to respect them. And by my respecting them and talking to them about Jesus, they'll respect Jesus, is the way I think about it. And they're shocked too. They're shocked. I mean, they just look at me like, you aren't going to say anything? No, I don't care what you look like. Your hair's
Well,
green today, purple tomorrow. I don't care. Mine isn't going to be, but yours can. But it's really surprising though when you see a doctor who has a pierced nose and full tattoos up and down his arms and wears scrubs that looks like he just climbed out of bed.
Yeah.
But they're excellent doctors.
Yeah, but where the condemnation a lot of times comes in the hospital is none of the nurses are from there. They're all from back east, and so so they're not used to it. Well, being the way that they are, they think they're appalled, and they'll treat them badly, so they're used to that. Now, when she comes in there and shows them Jesus, then that opens up everything. It's actually turned the whole ER around because it was a confused mess when she got there. And she doesn't think that she doesn't see the changes or because they're gradual for her. I see it because she tells me about it every night when she gets off work. I'm the vent. And the changes that have gone on there just by her being there. Not necessarily things that she's done. It's just her being there. And being Nancy.
It's really funny because most of the nurses I work with are all from the East. They
Right.
really are. And we sit on night shift and there's one from Florida, one from South Carolina, another one from Connecticut, one from Illinois, I'm from Kentucky, and one from Minnesota. You talk about some accents. It's hard to keep
But they
up.
all love her. What do they call you? Southern Comfort?
Yeah, that's what the patients call me. They call me Southern Comfort.
Then one doctor would come by. He's gone now. He used to come by every night and say, "Now, where's that city you're from?" She go, "Louisville." He'd love just to hear her say it.
And I get these little elderly men, they go, do you know you talk funny? I said, yes, I do. Do you like it? He said, yeah, guess it's okay.
And they don't have sweet tea.
They don't have sweet tea. It's appalling. We cannot find sweet tea.
It's horrible.
And they have the seafood is terrible.
It really is.
Yes.
It's sad to say. It really is. We go to KFC or
And Long John Silver's.
or Long John Silver's or Red Lobster. One place that we found.
One place we found great barbecue.
Yep.
You have to drive out in the middle of nowhere,
It's
though.
20 miles out in Bigfoot country. They have bears getting their garbage at night. That's how far they're out. And they're the only place on the road. You go out the road and that's the only place out there. But they got really good barbecue.
But they have this thing, Dungeness crabs, and you have to remove their
Sex organs.
reproductive organs in order to kill them.
It's weird.
Really?
That's how they say to do it.
That's how you do it. You pull that part out, and then you snap it off, and then you dig the crab part out. Nope. And Mexican, we went to Tumbleweed so we could have some real fake Mexican food.
When we got back, yeah. That's the first place we went.
Because that stuff out there is real. They got steaks and chicken in it. I just want some good old ground beef. Come on, I just want a burrito. The churches, we're very sad to say, the one church that we actually thought about going to is like Southeast. It's very, very big, and they have multiple services, and we wanted a very small church. But when we go online to look up the churches, they don't believe what we believe. What they're saying is not God. And it's very strange to me. I don't know what to call what they believe, but it's kind of a mismatch of
It's kind of like a community
overly liberal.
community service type.
It's like Brian,
Community
what Brian
center.
was saying today.
Exactly. It's just not. It's not what we believe. I don't know what those people believe. And we've looked up several really small churches around us, and
Yeah. I mean, I think the Mormons come to our house every 2 weeks. That's that's always been when the doorbell rings about 6:30 in the evening. I know who's there. We see the Mormons more than anybody. Baptists came by once, but the Mormons are there quite a bit. Oh, we live in Lacey, which is just south of Olympia, which is about 60 miles from Seattle, down on the bottom of the Puget Sound.
And we got all tickled because we thought we were moving close to the ocean, and we are about an hour from the ocean. But you go out to the ocean, it's 50 mile an hour winds, it's freezing cold, and you cannot get in the water.
No.
And then they dig these clam things. They're called razor clams. They're this big. They look like they're going to eat the person.
Yeah. You got to watch where you drive on the beach, or they'll get a ticket. You'll get a ticket. About 200 miles. It's the other side of the mountains. Yeah.
You know what? Years ago, Norman always told us stories about him going to Africa and going to those villages and realizing he could not love them. He was raised in England, and their culture was so different. Well, you're the missionaries now going to a culture that's so different from what you're used to. Yeah, but you have one up on Norman, because at that time Norman didn't. That's how he learned God is love. He doesn't just give it to you. You know, He is it through you and as you. So because he taught us that, now you're going there, knowing you're not trying to love them because you already are loved, because Jesus is the love by you and as you. But Barrett is just as much missionaries as he was.
But see, we're sneaky, because with Norman, they would know that he was a missionary.
Yeah.
With us, we come in looking like bikers.
Yeah.
We sneak up on them.
Bikers and hippies, man, they go right along together. We just got to get our bike up there. That's going to be the trick.
Best way.
The thing that occurs to me is how blessed each and every person sitting here is. Because we almost take it for granted, Christianity, knowing Jesus, knowing God, but that's a rare commodity in today's world. And that's the sad thing, that there is a world out there crying out to be loved, like Scott was saying, to know that they're worth something. They're searching and they're lost and they are so full of pain and they don't know an answer. And I look around and I think, God, how am I so fortunate to be sitting here knowing not only the salvation of Jesus Christ, but the total deliverance of who we are in Christ. You know, we're an elect few. Yes, we are. What an incredible thing to be a part of this right now. And what amazing things we have ahead of us and before us. Y'all are just so lucky. You're so lucky.
No, we're blessed. There's no luck.
One thing for them to be hippies, you used to be the love children. Those people out there aren't that. I mean, they don't touch each other. I go into a bedside and I sit down with an older woman and I'm getting ready to start an IV on her, and I always talk to them because people tell me the coolest stories. And I touch their hand and they're like, they're not used to being touched.
No.
And I'm a feely, touchy, huggy person. And I hug people and they're like, what's wrong with her?
Yeah, they're all.
And then they
by the
start to wonder if
personal
maybe I'm one of them gay people. Some people go,
Well, one thing about being the super liberal that they are, though, they believe in the Second Amendment. Most of them be packing guns.
Well, they better.
Yeah.
They're under more law. You told me that.
Yeah, they
They're
are.
supposed to be free.
Yeah, they're not.
More
They're not.
law.
they're not at all. They're not the love children I remember.
No.
And I barely did the 60s, but I'm getting it all over again.
There's a few.
None. There's none,
No,
and they
not
have
hospital.
on-call chaplains, but they have to come from Tacoma and Seattle. By the time they would get there to pray with someone, they would be gone. The person
I'm on
would
the
either
list.
would have passed away or checked out.
Yeah. but I am on the list, so they can call me.
He's on the list,
and I'm
and
about
I'm on
20
the
minutes
list.
away.
So they're the chaplains there.
Yes, there's a way.
And they're not used to being prayed with, too, because I've gone in and sat down with little people and touched their hand and talked to them. And I said, can I pray with you? And they're like, really? You want to? I said, yes, I'd love to. I'd love to share Jesus. And I'll start praying with them, and they just like melt in my arms. It's just absolutely wonderful.
It makes me think, because I was thinking earlier, when Jesus walked among the people, there wasn't a bunch of Baptist churches and Methodist
Right.
churches and a whole lot of training of what a Christian was supposed to look like. And he transformed people by loving them.
That's it.
Right where they were. Getting there and sitting down with them and loving them just as they were. So see, there you are. Circle of life.
Yep, that's right. So then the real question, well, for me in all this, because there's two parts of this story, is, well, I'm her support team. But when we first talked to Mom and Dad about this, Mom's apprehension was, what about the ministry? Because I do all the internet work, I do all the TV work, I do all the sound, get out the newsletter, do the website, all that, and video Mom, and that's hard. How am I going to do it from out there? And so what we did was we set up the studio in the basement, marked off on the floor where everything goes. I sighted everything in when I was here, got the lights adjusted, everything just right, and then we just turn it all off. and then I'll log in remotely into my computer when we're going to do it. Susan comes up, turns all the lights on, and makes sure Mom's lined up in the camera, and we do it remote from the other side of the country. and I pull the files across the internet to my house, edit them, then post them out on the internet. So now what I've done is I've created a web app for smartphones and iPhones, iPads, Androids. And if you don't have it, you can come to me and I'll show you how to get it real quick. But it has our videos on it. Actually, we're streaming this live across our web app right now, not just on the internet, but also through your smartphones and iPads and Android devices.
He talks to Mom more now from out there than he did here.
Yeah. We Skype. Mom and I Skype quite a bit.
But we did develop a problem. He started talking to plants. He started growing roses in our window box, and he was talking to the plants. And every night when he'd pick me up at work, he'd say how many buds were on each rose bush. And I thought, oh my goodness, he's talking to flowers. So then we got a dog. So now he has something else to take care of and talk to besides the flowers.
Honey, the flowers will answer him back.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Oh, when we were left, there was two big buds or big flowers on. They're only small, they're miniature roses, but they were budding out when we left. I just put them on the back porch.
Big biker dude has gone on the internet and found recipes. He cooks now. He grows flowers. He drives me back and forth to work because I tried to go to Safeway once and wound up in Seattle. So
Safeway's only about 2 miles away.
So he truly is my support.
and still do the ministry stuff. So, yep. All right. Let's give this up.